you're running around the track, right? Your position is dependent on your previous position, which is dependent on your previous position, which is dependent on your previous position.
That's logically possible.
And it goes back infinitely.
That's logically possible.
There has to be some progress.
So what action does it break?
So what's the starting point?
I'm saying it's logically possible.
Right, what's the starting point?
It doesn't. I don't have to get into.
Is it logically possible to put any starting point on the
It's
track?
logically possible because it doesn't go against the axiom. It's logically consistent. If you're asking on metaphysical modality, then that's a different question. But we're speaking about logic.
Yeah.
And he said the Trinity is logically necessary.
Yes.
Which is what I'm contending.
So can you place the runner on any position on the track?
You're not understanding. What do you think
Entertain me.
What do you think I just said?
Entertain me. Can you?
Well, you see, this is the thing that I talk
You
about
don't
with
like to
you.
address it.
You're. It's like no. Well, smoke critique on you. You can only talk about the things that you have in the script. Anything outside of it, it falls apart. But notice that like you always so.
No, I'm sticking you onto your point. That's what
The formation,
It's a logical problem.
The formation of a script is always when you can only ever start at one point and end at that same.
No, I'm pressuring you on your claim.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
So
follow my claim then.
Your claim is content specific on metaphysics.
Logically, where can you place as a starting point for the runner?
Do you even? What do you think I just said?
You're just refusing to
You
answer.
wasn't even listening.
You're refusing to answer.
I answered earlier. What did I say?
So what's the answer?
So you didn't listen.
It didn't address the question.
It's not really an answer. It's all like a
As
dodging.
long as this theorem that along that model that you're given is obtaining at least one logical possible such that it's logically consistent, then it's not a logical impossibility. And that what you just showed me doesn't go against an axiom of logic. So it's not logically.
It's a logical impossibility by nature of
watch
it being an
okay,
infinite causal regress, which would require.
Watch this, please, watch this. Give me the axiom that it contradicts. Go ahead.
So
You can't because it doesn't exist. It's not logically impossible. That's just dumb to say. Just like it's dumb to say the Trinity is logically necessary. That's even dumber than that.
again, just saying that something is dumb.
Okay, well,
So again,
do you believe the Trinity is logically necessary? Yes or no?
I believe you can argue for basically any god.
Do you believe the Trinity is logically
Oh, hang on, before we move on.
It's not answering my question.
You're not answering my question, right?
Look at that. We're through
Any position that the runner is on requires a previous position.
I asked you what axiom does it contradict?
Yeah, any position that the runner is on requires a previous position, but you are required to not have a starting
does it contradict?
Yeah, you need a starting point and no starting
What's the
point. It
axiom
contradicts
that
itself.
what's the axiom
It
that
contradicts itself.
What's
The runner
axiom
needs
that
a starting point,
See,
and there
it's
can
that
be no
thing.
starting
You can
point.
only-
He
you can only
contradicts
do
himself.
He's saying that it's logically impossible, meaning it contradicts.
Yes, I'm explaining to you how an infinite causal regress is illogical. The runner requires a starting point,
Logical
whilst
modality doesn't
there
go
cannot be a
logical-
starting point.
logical-
Therefore, it's a contradiction with
Okay,
it
answer
contradicts
me.
itself.
Answer me.
It's illogical.
Answer me
Therefore,
this.
infinite causal regress is illogical.
One second.
So God is logically necessary.
Answer me this. What was I gonna say? No,
All right, let me.
One second.
I'll break it down to you a bit. The only way to have the runner going around the track infinitely
well, this
is
is- wait,
if he's.
Let
me say this.
I was thinking.
Let me answer for you. The only way the runner
Yeah.
can infinitely be running around the track
Yeah.
is if he's at all points at the same time. He's eternally on every point around the track. So
Tough.
he's static in other
Tough.
words.
Okay,
He's static because he's not actually moving because he's everywhere all at once.
Okay, answer me this.
So what's the problem?
Okay, listen.
No, don't go by the script.
It's not, I'm asking
Make
a
a
question. What are you
conclusion.
doing?
All right,
So ask a question.
But you're answering
Can I
it
ask
by
the-
asking.
can I ask the-
You're answering by avoiding. All right, go.
Is what the model you're giving to do with metaphysics or not?
It's logical.
This is not just the metaphysics.
It's logical. You can say it's method. It's logical.
This just sounds like one of the scripts.
What do you have to do with metaphysics?
Did I tell you there's a contradiction?
Oh my! You're
Is it
not answering. You're not answering. Is
All right,
it
well,
to do
I
with
won't talk
metaphysics?
about it.
It's logical.
So that's not answering my question. Is it answering? Is it about metaphysics or not?
It's logical.
I'm not. It's not answering my question. Is it to do with metaphysics or not?
Well, you didn't answer his
Not
question,
entirely.
and now you're derailing by asking him another
Hang on,
question.
hang on. This specific scenario, this
But he's not
specific
understanding,
analogy.
he's not
All right,
understanding.
Gabba, let me answer. This specific scenario, you can say is dependent on metaphysics.
Thank
but
you.
What,
So I don't need
but
to do any of that.
what it's analogous for is pure logic.
I don't need to do any
What
of
it's
that.
analogous for is pure logic.
Listen. For you to derive a logical contradiction, let's say x between x and y. Let's say if you want to derive a logical contradiction, do you need to know about the metaphysics behind x and y or not?
If you can show there's a logical contradiction, that shows a
you need
logical
to know.
contradiction.
You need to know the metaphysics.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. So why am I talking metaphysics?
Right.
It's stupid. I don't need to do that.
We're not really talking
He said-
metaphysics, are we?
he said-
We're talking
he said-
logic.
He said Trinity logically necessary. That's what I'm.
No, we're saying is God
Exactly,
No,
even-
hang on.
even the
Gabba,
atheists
Gabba.
agree.
The question was, is God logically necessary?
Yeah, and I'm saying that I'm asking him because he's saying that it's logically necessary, meaning it's a theorem of logic, and I'm asking what axiom of logic does that contradict?
Yeah.
The negation of God.
And I'm saying-
I'm not even God. You said the Trinity is necessary. Even more specific.
You added that later on. We were saying
He
God.
said that. He said Trinity.
Right, well, when you were talking to me before, you just said
No, I
God.
wasn't. I was talking to him the whole time. You came in. Stop being dishonest.
You were talking with me?
No, I was speaking to him the whole time.
All right, if you say
from
so.
2 weeks ago.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
you said even specifically the Trinity logically necessary, correct?
Okay, so
Okay, so it's a theory.
I was
it's over.
talking God. If you want
He
to
said
change the
Trinity.
conversation to
Did you say
Trinity,
Trinity?
if you want to avoid answering the question by saying Trinity,
Did you say Trinity?
I said Trinity,
Okay, very good.
right?
What are you doing?
But again, you can argue for any God being logically necessary.
Okay,
It's fine.
I got it on my mum's phone.
So, what is? Let me do your trick. What is your understanding of a Trinity?
Okay, Trinity can be.
you're letting him run away.
Look, there's two combos here. So if you guys want to do yours first or whatever, that's fine.
I'm talking to you.
That's fine, if you
fine.
can see.
If you,
I can see it. I'm talking to you.
Let's say
all
you're a
right, go.
Christian.
I can see it. Okay, I'm talking
That means you believe in a God that's immutable. Yeah, let's go. All right, cool.
No, listen. You said the Trinity is logically necessary, correct?
Okay. The Trinity can be argued for being logically necessary.
Okay.
What is your understanding of this Trinity?
Do you believe it's logically necessary?
I can argue for it.
Wait, so
Whether or not I
do you
believe
also-
something, I can
No,
still
because
argue
last-
to it.
no, I want to know because
Yeah.
because last time we spoke, you said you hold to the position that is logically necessary.
I didn't really say I held to the position. I said that I can. No, don't worry. I'm not a Muslim. I said that I can argue for it being logically necessary.
You never thought you just lying. You said that the Trinity is logically necessary. Full stop. That's what you said. You didn't say, "Oh, I can argue for it." You said that's your position. Stop doing all that.
Again, I can argue for it being logically
You
necessary.
didn't say that.
So again, your script only works
It's not
if it works upon me saying that I believe it is.
No, I
Because without
wanna
me
know- I
saying
wanna
that,
know if
then
you change-
your script can then go ahead.
I want to know if you change your position.
I
What's the
can
time?
argue for it. Oh, great. Okay,
No,
great.
no, he did have to say like 10 minutes ago. He has to leave in 10 minutes.
All right, fine. Look, you know what? If you're gonna leave, let's do next week. But,
I think that's what he did,
where
so
we start the conversation from next week is, I can argue for the Trinity being logically necessary. That's my position.
Okay, we'll continue.
Don't change
from
it.
there. We'll continue
I
from
can
there.
argue for
Post
it.
post this and then we'll see.
I can argue for it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what
Gabba, use your head. You're a smart kid.
This is a points conversation. It's to do with like, I think like his whole thing is like, so there's like, we're having like a logical conversation, but also he wants to like sort of scrutinize it by diving into like modal logic, which just deals with like things that are possible or necessary or whatever. So the bottom line is, you can like you elucidated it, right? With the track running theory. If there's an infinite regress like this at the same time, there's necessity for there to be some kind
It
of.
doesn't work if there is an infinite regress.
Exactly.
If he's running infinitely, he has to be
Yeah.
statically on the whole track.
Exactly.
Therefore, infinite regress is false.
It's false. So therefore, there has to be a prime mover of some sort. So, for example, but based upon that, I can argue that Allah, for example, cannot be the prime mover because he openly, I believe even in his paradigm, does change.
Yeah.
So therefore, Allah is running on the track, not statically, but in reference to his previous position.
Well, that's what he believes.
Yeah.
He thinks Allah is dependent on time, and so Allah today is caused by Allah yesterday.
Yep.
And so you get an infinite regress
yeah.
of Allah's actions.
But that's not a problem for him. The only thing that would be a problem is if you can showcase which axiom is broken by contradicting what he said. So if Allah is running on the track, if he was a static, why would that be better than him running on the track? And what axiom would you tie it to? Would it be like S3, S4 in like modal logic? Would it be the law of non-contradiction? Would it be the law of identity?
Non-contradiction. Because if Allah is static, like how we say God is static,
Yeah.
even most Muslims, because he doesn't think like most Muslims specifically is the
Particularly, he's a Taimite Muslim. So he follows Ibn Taymiyyah's understanding of God. And Ibn Taymiyyah notoriously, from my understanding, denies ADS or DS. Instead, he follows a position called neo-classical theism, very similar to open theism, that suggests that God isn't immutable. He can change, he can adapt, but essentially he says the same.
Well, anyway, to get back to your question,
sorry.
For God to be
What axiom?
coherent,
Yeah.
He would have to be static,
Yep.
unchanging,
Yep.
which is exactly how we define God.
Yep.
And he can't be subject to himself in the past.
Yeah, so if he wants to go down because ultimately he's a bright kid, but he still goes on the
He follows the scripts. Yeah.
And that's why in the way he answers the question has to adhere to the beginning point of the script. If it doesn't, then suddenly he refuses to answer it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, that's fine. All right, cool. That was all. That was hella confusing on word salad. I can break it down later. We'll carry on tomorrow. Oh, sorry, not tomorrow. Next week. Next week. Cool. Because fundamentally, I think that, he's right in he's halfway right. Any God can be argued to be logically necessary.
I wouldn't put it as any.
Yeah.
Thank you. No.
Yep.
I wouldn't put it as any God, but any model of God.
Sure, yeah. But what is a God but a model? Okay.
Assigning identity to God comes later.
Okay, all right. Sure.
The most basic description of God comes first, and then if you want to give him any particular name or say he did any particular miracles, that comes afterwards.
Okay, sure. We can go with that. Any model of God can be argued to be logically necessary in some way. I think what's even more interesting then is diving into modal logic, right? So what is it about your God essentially that is necessary? So, for example, we could openly argue that the triune God is necessary.
Not dependent on creation for
Exactly.
things such as love.
Exactly.
Like the distinct persons loving each
Yeah,
other.
but then you struggle to do the same thing for Allah, who appears to, depending upon what telling or branch of Islam you follow, he appears to acquire attributes in a post hoc manner in order that he can interact with his creatures. He doesn't possess those things before creatures exist. So are those attributes necessary for Allah to be Allah, or is Allah just a monad with no emotion, with no attributes if it wasn't for him creating or freely choosing to do so?
I think he would say yes to that.
So then, but that ultimately collapses into who was it? The Jewish guy who holds all this view. So it's a Jewish guy. I think it's it might be Maimonides. I check again, but Maimonides I think holds to a very, very extreme view of ADS, where God doesn't even have emotion. He has no personality. He's a singular monad, very similar to the prime mover from Platonic teaching. He isn't even aware of his creation, because he's so perfect that the imperfection that stems from him in the form of the creator order isn't even noticed by him. So actually, if he was to reduce Allah to a monad, then that's a problem.
I don't think he'd put it like that. I think you'd have to say Allah is in control of everything.
He's in control of everything. So is there a possible world where Allah has no attribute? So Allah is free because Allah...
I think we have to ask him next week.
Yeah, because from my understanding...
Instead of trying to think what he say.
Fair. From my understanding, Allah is free to decide what he wants to do. None of his actions are necessary. Right? Everything can be contingent, right? So is there a possible world where Allah doesn't...
I think he said he believes in a light necessarianism, or however you put it.
Oh, okay, so there are things about Allah.
I want to say more of it.
All right, fair. No, I'm just spitballing here. I'm not really trying to elucidate his full position. But I'm just saying that fundamentally, if you believe that, what is Allah foundationally? Is there a possible world where any of the names that we know Allah by don't exist?
I don't know. But if he claims he cooks you,
then if you're
Ask him how God knows the future. He can't answer that. Because for the future to not exist, like he said.
Yes, yeah. Oh yeah, he holds the B theory.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
yeah.
God cannot know what doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The only way he knows the future is if he has complete dominance over the now, meaning he doesn't give free will to any other being.
Right.
Meaning
And then
there
he-
can be no free will.
And then he claimed to not be an occasionalist. He claimed to, so even to me actually affirms that there's secondary causality. So that actually goes against, okay, fair enough. That's another one. Fair enough. Yeah. Cool.
Receiving the gospel, having it really broken down and explained.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that one's gonna be a little bit confusing. The competition is gonna be
The last one.
Yeah, yeah. It was no, this one right now.
Okay.
It's like it needs more. We can do it again next week if you want, and then when we do next week, I can explain what we talked about at the very end.
Okay.
It's a little bit complicated, but fundamentally, it's just to do with when we say God does not change. How do we understand Him not changing? And are there any problems if we do believe that He doesn't change? And if we believe that He does change, are there any problems with that as well?
Right. So but the Bible says, "I'm
does not
God,
change.
and I do not change." I
What
change
does that?
not.
What does that mean? Right? So like classically, Christians believe that like God is like
His essence, probably.
yeah, his essence, right? But then also like God, the persons are directly they encompass the fullness of the essence. So what is true of the essence applies to the persons as well, in like an absolute way. So it's like Ocean gave a great analogy. If a person is running on a track, they are only like I'm repeating your track analogy to him. If a person is running on a track, they are only further along the track in comparison to their previous position. And
Their
then
current position is caused by their previous position.
yeah, exactly.
Which is caused by their previous one, and so
So
to be
it-
logical,
and,
you would need to have a
loop,
starting point.
an infinite loop.
An infinite
Yeah.
loop.
Yeah.
So in order for that not to be contradictory, you would need to have some kind of absolute loop. Also, like an absolute starting point, where maybe like the person is literally on all points of the track at the same time, for example. The problem with Muslims is that they won't hold to that.
Well, Gabba wouldn't. I don't know. Other
I don't know any Muslim that will hold to that, because every Muslim beyond Shias deny DS or ADS. Sunnis deny it. Because they believe things like Allah laughs, for example.
No, I think most Muslims would agree with Kalam. I think Kalam was a Muslim guy. That's what it's named after.
I think
I don't know.
Kalam as in the guy?
The guy that the theory is named after. I think he was a Muslim.
Kalam said what?
The
I-
Kalam argument that basically infinite regress cannot exist.
So God is, but that doesn't speak about God being unchanging, does it?
Well, it would require an initial cause.
Yeah, but then the problem with them is that there are hadiths, and even in the Quran, it talks about like Allah making like temporal decisions, and also Him.
Oh yeah, I won't deny that it can get contradictory. with
Yeah.
What the Quran teaches, absolutely.
All right, let me look into, because I know the Kalam cosmological argument, but that's basically
Yeah, I think that's. I think that
Oh, yeah,
comes from a guy called Kalam.
Kalam. Yeah, stop saying Kalam. Yeah.